Welcome back to this series we're doing on 13 life-changing lessons no one's ever told you by George Mack on the Chris Williamson YouTube channel, which is the Modern Wisdom Podcast. And without any further ado, we're going to roll the clip and then I'm going to react to it right now. Let's go.
One I'd add on to the list that's really meta that I think when we discussed the UK issue earlier, and I know you chat to like young guys a lot or in that space about feeling lonely or the loneliness epidemic. One of the things that doesn't feel productive, I'd say is like the most productive thing I've ever done is whenever I'm on social media, which is by definition often quite unproductive time, or it's like I describe Twitter now as like swimming through sewage searching for gold. And every day I'll get a bit of gold, but I'm covered in shit. And it's like, that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off that I kind of make with social media platforms now. And one of my friends recently was saying how he's not got a circle like himself where he's got his old friends, he's not got a circle like himself. And he goes, so I might start going to like a yoga class or a CrossFit class and see if I can meet these people. I go, that's definitely better than doing nothing. But the odds of that is quite slim relative to online. So I go back to how me and you met, right? I think I was sat on the loo and I DM'd you. So it was just like, hey mate, and what did I mention? Something about Chrome extensions?
You said, I see that you're coming to my office, coming to my place of work in a couple of weeks' time. Let's exchange Google Chrome extension.
Right. So that, in terms of finding people who produced like something cool online and DMing them, like, hey, I thought this is awesome. If you're ever here, let's do something together. The amount of people that do that is so slim. I bet even, and the mistake people make is they'll go, right, and this will
Grant Cardone.
Yeah, they'll go, they'll try and punch way above their like relative standing. And I mean, the good news is that even if you do that, even someone like you probably get so many DMs. I know I get quite a few, but 99% of it is absolutely shite. So if you can even provide some value, you're immediately in the 1%. But I think the mistake that young people make, or that I made, is that you then try and punch upwards. So you try and go, let's find the guy who's got 2 million ABC or has got all the, like my dream, whatever. But actually what you want to do is meet peers. So when we both met, it was basically, so you had relatively nothing really.
Two nobodies, just like now.
It was back my favorite period of Chris when he would be interviewing some of the like world's most hardcore niche philosophers on the trolley problem. So I'd go on his Instagram story, see like the trolley problem with some doctor at Cambridge. And then the next Instagram story was 2 for 1 tonight at Voodoo, get your Jaeger bombs in at this price. Then boom, back to the trolley problem.
It was like the Batman Clark Kent single feed.
Yes. So just finding people like that and DMing them. And by the way, the only people will then, the imposter syndrome will kick in. It's like, well, I don't make any content or I don't have a following. Honestly, it doesn't matter. All you need is a bio that says this person isn't a fucking weirdo. So like just some kind of nice savvy bio and a little bit of content on there. And that's, I think, all you need. And you're better off finding peers than trying to find people you're fans of, because you're always going to have this like vertical weird relationship.
Correct.
Whereas if you meet people early on, you can then grow together, which is way more enjoyable. Because if let's say you're 20 now and you try and become best friends with you, like you're much older. You're not going to be going to like IBFA with them. You're going to be boring relative to them. So finding peers that are on your level, and it's so easy just by scrolling through social these days. And people do not do that.
Don't forget as well that if you find somebody that is at your level, they are going to be dealing with the same problems that you are. Now, me at 36, I can still remember like most of the problems I had at 26, but at 16, I can't remember any of them. I don't know what my mindset was like at 16. I can't even put myself in that theory. Ali Abdaal, I keep coming back to this. I don't know where he said it. He said, you want to teach people that are about 2 steps behind you because you can't remember the problems of someone that's 10 steps behind you. So he has this idea of permanently sort of laying a trail of breadcrumbs. And you basically get to lay and follow the trail of breadcrumbs when you're with somebody that's on that same level as you, right? You're similar age bracket, similar sort of background, similar sort of desire for where you want to go in life. The only thing really that you need to optimize for, 2 things. First one being vibes. When you spend time with them, are they a sofa friend or a treadmill friend? Do you feel energized and revitalized and regulated after you've been with them? Or do you feel a bit fucking irritated and you're like, oh God, like I need to chill out after that. That was like antagonistic, or I didn't like this. It just something felt off. Like, how do you feel post-content clarity, like post-conversation clarity? And then the second thing, are they optimizing for growth? Do they have a personal growth vehicle that they're moving along with? Basically, are they prepared to change? Because if you want to be someone who changes and you're around someone who doesn't change, it's always going to struggle because you're always going to be suggesting new things. They're going to feel like it's a value judgment on them, and they're going to feel like accused a little bit, and you're going to feel held back. So vibes and personal growth velocity. If you can match those two things, you've got a great set of friends that you'll continue to grow with.
And it's so much easier to do that online. So going back to the reference of my friend who was like, I might go to the CrossFit club. And by the way, that's not like a bad way to do it. It's just the brick and mortar way of doing it.
Well,
it's so much more.
I had this idea, as you were talking about it, that the finding someone online who you can tell you're going to get on with is a targeted strike from a sniper, right? It's one of those drone bombs that hits an individual. Going to CrossFit class is carpet bombing.
Yes.
And hoping for the best. That being said, I do actually think that spreading the, like, you know, in a typical CrossFit class, maybe there's 20 people. In a typical gym, there's 100. Like, there's a pretty big net there. So you are probably going to find, I mean, dude, run clubs. Jesus Christ, the run club that Noah runs here, Raw Dog Run Club, is fucking huge. And if you're the sort of person that at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. wants to stand outside of a pizza truck and set off on a 4.5 mile loop, you've selected for a very unique sort of category of person there. So the more unique that it is.
Wow, that was a decently long clip. I didn't want to necessarily interrupt it because I think what's saying is very important, but just to go over and go into more detail about what's talking about here. So going to places to meet people is better than doing nothing, but very slim odds. Socializing at places you're already going to is better yet. So there's a slight difference here between the two. One of them is a place you're already going to go to because you have an activity that you've already decided you're going to do at that place. The other one is you're like, oh, I think I should network. I think I should like go out and meet girls, or I should go out and do something. And then you start looking for activities where you think those people will be, because that, I mean, it can work, and it does work to some. It works a lot better than staying home, which is like zero for meeting people. But in terms of just going out and socializing, just saying hi to random people you meet at the gym or starting conversations, like so many people will be like, oh, I should go on social media and do this. Like, yeah, that will work. Or I should go and I should find locations to do this. Like, yeah, you know, you can do that, but like, have you talked to everyone at your gym? Like, have you said hi to people when you go get coffee or something? Like, do you actually socialize, or are you avoiding people and then being like, oh, I should go to this place so I can network with people and talk to other people and make friends. And you go there and you just kind of like stay in the corner. You're like, hi. Like, I don't know. It's kind of being social is being social. I mean, it can help sometimes to go to a new environment and then try and make yourself interact with others. But just start off by talking to people at your gym, in the elevator, wherever the hell you are. Like, just say hi, man. Like, don't do the small talk. Don't do the BS. Like, nice weather we're having today. Like, actually ask them, like, hey, how's your day? Or what's something really cool that you learned this week? Like, no one asks those questions. So if you ask those, you're like already in the 99th percentile of like people they're going to interact with that day. Like, I don't know, kind of show them that you're not a sleeping zombie who just goes through the same habitual habits every single day and like is constantly on their phone. And yeah, it's a little bit more difficult nowadays because people are on their, like, they have the AirPods in all the time, but I mean, just look someone in the face and start talking to them, and they usually take them out. So you will get occasionally that awkward situation where you look at someone, you say something, everyone else around you hears it, but the person who you were telling it to doesn't say it, and they have to repeat it. But just do it. Like, you're not going to see any of those people ever again. Like, who gives a crap? And even if you do see them again, no one's going to remember it. Like, I don't know. Stop thinking you're the center of the universe and go out and talk to people. It's more fun than you think. Then, let's see. Find people that made something cool online and DM them. So yeah, this is just basically what he said. If someone makes something cool that you like, a song, they post something cool on Instagram, just be like, hey man, that was awesome. let's hang out together. And then make sure right down below. Actually, we talked this a little bit below. Just make sure your social media showcases the fact that you're not some weirdo and I don't know, like a leopard. Like it's very basic. Just have a picture of you hanging out with other people, having a good time. Like just don't have only selfies of yourself on your Instagram. That's like depressing as hell. It's like, hey man, you have friends, right? Anyways, so he said don't punch upward. I say screw that advice. Punch upward as much as you want. Just it's gonna have a slightly lower percent reply to it, but you can increase that by providing value. There's tons of things out there and resources. For Our Work Week has it. They have a whole section that talks about getting a mentor and how to best do that. But like you can just ask people and comment stuff. Like let people know that you like their stuff that you see. Like it's such a little thing, but like for people who make the work, like the comments I get that people like, oh my god, man, your video really helped me with this thing I was struggling with. I'm like, yes, thank you. I've put so many hours of work into this, but I'm glad that I helped you. I mean, I do this primarily to help myself and to force me to put time towards it every single day so I can come out with a new video and I don't want repeating the same stuff. But I'm glad this helps other people. That's part of the reason why I do it. Anyways, so this method works best with peers, and yeah, basically have a bio that shows that you're not a weirdo. Then I do like this quote. You want to teach someone that is 2 steps behind you because you can't remember the problem of someone that is 10 steps behind you. And the person that's 10 steps behind you isn't actually going to value the wisdom you're giving them because they're not ready for it. This is the reason why you can keep rereading and rereading and rereading a book multiple times and get new information out of it. Because when you first heard it, you didn't think that piece of information was valuable because you weren't ready to implement it into your life. So we're constantly looking at the world and being like, oh, is this valuable to me? Is this valuable to me? Is this valuable to me? There's too much information out there for us to do any other way, to try to collect it all. So you have to look at, like you already subconsciously do this. You look at what is valuable to you at that moment, and then you try to remember it. I mean, you still aren't forgetting so much of it, which is why I try to take notes in my books and everything. But rereading material that you've already read, you will get more information out of it because you're at a different stage of your life, and it's like you don't cast pearls before swine or something. I think it's some proverb from the Bible, but it's basically like you can't make someone value information that they're not ready for. And this is, I mean, part of the reason why I have the YouTube channel that I have, so that like hell, like try not to swear as much anyways. But if you go back to watch like the video that I posted 6 months ago, and even before that, where my ice bath series, where I was like struggling with depression because I felt trapped at school, like that stuff sucked. And I kind of put a lot of this on YouTube, where it's just like my progression from being very depressed, stuck at college, finishing up my engineering degree, to like starting my own business. I talk about this in my videos, and it's kind of like this is where I have been. I have an idea of where I'm going, and it's really cool. And I'm kind of like documenting the whole journey and being like, well, then this is how I did it. Like, if you're, it doesn't matter like where you necessarily are, because you can hop on. Like, if my life's going like this, like you can hop on wherever you are at and then follow it upwards, so that it's not like too many steps ahead. Like documenting the whole thing, and yeah, I mean, you also don't really remember the issues of people that are 10 steps behind you. Anyways, in that he talked about, like, can you remember the issues you had when you were like 16? I mean, I look back at my old journals and I'm like, oh, look at that. I solved almost all the issues I had. Like, that's kind of nice, but you forget them. Like, it's, I don't know, it's really cool. Anyways, so the checklist to go through when doing this is similar age. I mean, similar age is useful. It's not necessarily a have to, but like try to keep it within 5 years of you, because the older or younger they are, the more differences it's going to be. And I'm not saying you can't find a mentor that's older, but if you're looking for like people to actually hang out with, you want to keep it roughly the same age. Similar background. I don't really think you need this one. I think this one can be overcome if, as you see down below, similar desires. Even if someone is of a different background than you, if you're both walking towards the same destination, I mean, you guys could just walk together there and help each other along the way. And that's like a really nice thing because eventually you'll start to slow down and he'll be like, hey man, we can do this. Like, come on, let's do this. And then he'll like pump you back up. And then he'll slow down eventually. And then you can pump him back up. And it's kind of like two people trying to carry fire to the top of a mountain. And each of their torches keep getting blown out. But they're able to keep getting them to keep relighting their friend's torch. And then their torch gets blown out and their friend relights it. So it's kind of like the more people you can kind of move together with and keep it, the more people there is, the more difficult it's going to be to focus it necessarily. But if you can keep it focused on the outcome and the goal, the more people you do it with, the easier it's going to be for you because you have other people who can kind of like relight that metaphorical torch or inspire you or will know the answer to the issue you're dealing with. And he called it sofa versus treadmill friend. I don't really get that one. I thought sofa was like friends that you're gonna just chill and watch TV with. That's not really like that deep, and a treadmill friend something you're gonna do something with. But like, it's much simpler than that. It just comes down to, do you feel energized and revitalized or drained and irritated after hanging out with them? Like, there's some people where even if you might have a really good time with them, they're bipolar and you have to watch what you say because if you say something and they're not in the right mood, they're going to lose their crap. So it kind of feels like you're always walking on an edge, and this can be very, very, very mentally draining. And I've had this experience in the past where, like, even though I was working with this person, like, I would always come away from our interactions feeling like wiped out mentally because I kept having to monitor what I was saying because of their unstable mental stuff that was going on at the time. And then also for people who drain you, people that only talk about problems and don't look for solutions. So, I mean, you should be able to identify whether or not you feel better or worse for hanging out with this friend. And even if, like, this is some advice I gave to one of my really good friends. He came and visited me. He's like, hey man, I'm thinking about cutting back on drinking. I'm like, how is your drinking? Like, you never mentioned this to me. Like, do you have an issue? Like, do you want to talk about it? He's like, nah, I just kind of like, I have these friends and we go out every week and like, we'll drink Friday night and then Saturday we'll wake up late in the morning and there's really nothing to do that day. And then I'll drink some Saturday and then kind of just hung over Sunday. I'm like, dude, kind of sounds like you need to get some different friends. Like, you don't like this. Like, he's like, no, but it's like the only friends I really have at the moment. I'm like, I know it's going to suck a little bit, but like, dude, you need to get different friends. Like, you're making all this progress working out, like forming good habits, and then you're kind of just like dumping on it and like you go up and then you drop off. So you're just like, if you graph your, like your energy levels or like your life, it just kind of looks like a saw blade where it's go boom, down, and this like, you're not actually ever going to like increase your energy levels, increase your life, better yourself anyway if you keep crapping it out on the weekend. So find people who bring out the best in you. If you have issues with vaping or smoking, don't hang out with people that vape and smoke. Like, literally when I was quitting, I would keep myself away from all those people who vaped and smoked. When I quit weed, I stopped hanging out with people that smoked weed all the time because I didn't want the temptation of having or being in the environment with it. Like, you're the sum of the 5 people you interact with the most. So you have to look at those 5 people. And this is another insight I had earlier, which is you need to think of your phone and the media you interact with as an actual person. So if you interact with Twitter more than you actually interact with another person, then Twitter becomes one of those 5 people. And then if you interact with YouTube more than you interact with anyone else, YouTube becomes the person. So the 5 people in your life might be Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Netflix, wherever you watch Netflix. And those are the 5 things that you consume, and you don't really socialize at all. You have to look at what you're consuming on each of those platforms, because you're going to be the sum of those ideas. So make sure you're not consuming trashy stuff. Like, this is something I realized with their brain, and something I keep having to re-realize is like how little control you actually have over it. And it seems it's kind of like you have so little control over it, and like at least your first thoughts that you have, that you need to look out at what you consume, because what you consume is then going to chain other thoughts, which are going to then chain to actions, and then those actions are going to cause other thoughts and then other things to happen later on. So if you're trying to quit smoking, I would cut out all TV shows, because if you haven't noticed it, there's a crap ton of smoking in our culture. And when I first quit, I was like, holy crap, like it is insane the amount of advertising there is for smoking and actors smoking and everything. Like Reacher, the Netflix series, season 1 at the end, where that black dude, the cop, is gonna like go into the gunfight. There's like a whole 2-minute thing there where he needs to stop and have a cigarette, and he spent like the whole season trying to quit. It's like, what? Like, you don't, until you actually quit smoking, you don't realize how messed up it is that we subliminally message to people that cigarettes are the most precious thing in their life. Like, it is absolutely insane. Go, like, look up that clip, but you need to. Okay, getting back to what I was saying earlier. What you watch, what you consume, will then cause you to have thoughts, and those thoughts will then link to behaviors. So a lot of this happens subconsciously, and you're not necessarily aware of it. So meditating more will make you more aware, which will then help you better control your own thoughts. But if you don't meditate and you're not consciously aware of your own thoughts to that degree, you really need to like put a sticky note next to something or look at what you consume, because it significantly affects how you actually behave. And like, you don't actually, we think we have like all these controls over our own life, but like once you default onto autopilot and like you just start going, you don't really have control, and you kind of just, whatever the thought pops into your head, you kind of just go with, and it's a horrible place to be. And the reason why I try to meditate, go for nature walks, like change up my routines, go to new places, is all so that I can get perspective and get out of my normal thought patterns, so that I can look at my life with some degree of discernment and see how I want to actively change it. And I highly recommend people do this. And if you want more examples, like my channel is full of it. Like, hell, go to the local library and just work there for 2 hours, and you'll be amazed at what new thoughts you can have if you can stop yourself from listening to music, audiobooks, or TV while you're working. And then the last thing is, are they trying to grow and change and improve themselves? Yeah, I mean, you want to have people that like invest in people who are investing in themselves, because from elementary school and stuff, like you will have friends that you will move past because they stopped investing into themselves, they stopped changing, they stopped trying to better themselves, and you're on this journey, and like you still like talking to them, but it's like, dude, what are you doing with your life? Like, you're just playing video games and watching TV. It's like, what about like, do you want to go rock climbing? Like, do you want to like, I don't know, go ice baths? Like, what about this book? Like, have you read this book? And like, they're like, no. And it's kind of like the attitude of Europe, if I had to be honest, where they're not really trying to improve themselves, not really trying to improve anything else. Or full size myself for a second. They're kind of just content to take their 4 weeks of vacation, spend all their free time doing stuff that they enjoy, but they never actually like invest it into themselves. And it's this surprising lack of self-betterment I see over there. They're kind of like, oh, well, this is what I was born into. This is what my life is going to look like. And I don't really see any need to change it. I'm like, that's kind of weird, man. Like, I don't know. My dad worked his way out of poverty. Like, he was an orphan who worked his way out of, like, his one goal in life is not being poor. My family's not poor. Like, and he's kind of passed that thing on to me where he's like, you work and you improve yourself, and you work and you improve yourself, and you don't stop until you die. Because when you stop improving yourself, like, you basically just, you die inside. Like, retirement is a leading cause of death. Like, that is so true. And when you stop having a mission, when you stop moving forward and you just stand still, I mean, life is flowing, life is cycles, energy is constantly moving. When you stop moving, that energy stops moving through you. So you kind of just have to keep going forward, man. And I don't see any other way of living, and I don't want to see any other way of living. Like, I love it. Like, I love being able to look back and be like, where I came from. Oh my God, look at that. I've come so far. Or like having goals, accomplishing those goals, like setting new goals. I like it. Like, that's the if you can't tell from the 200 something videos that I've made talking about this exact topic, I love it. Anyways, check out more of the videos. Playlist up here, I think. Yeah, right here. And we're gonna put subscribe to the channel right about here. And yeah, check out some of the stuff. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you. And drop a comment down below and let me know what you think.